Hope everyone is having a great day. Today is June 19th, 2019, and this is the uranium sector review. Overall, guys, I'm very excited. I'm excited for a number of things. One is I completed the CFA exam, so I've got plenty more time. Don't know if I passed, but hopefully I did. And now I'm just going to be focusing my full time on building out this Moneyology.com platform that I'm hoping to get launched by July. Meanwhile, during my added time here, I'm going to be trying to make some more sector reviews, and we'll start with uranium. And as you'll see in the video in a moment here, the sector is looking real good right now. I mean, yes, obviously most of the names are depressed, but you'll see that there's some serious momentum being generated, and I'll show you why. So again, for those of you new to the videos, these are all done from a weekly perspective, so a little bit longer term time frame to remove some of the short term noise in the markets and give you a broader perspective. So here's the U.to. I guess if this is an ETF, this effectively tracks the price of uranium, and it's a great measure to see where we are today. So we're kind of in this broadening pattern here of a rounded bottom and then this flag formation, and we're right below the 50 and 200 week moving averages as represented by the red and green lines over here, and we're just setting up, in my opinion, setting up some strength to really break higher here soon. And notice the PPO is building positive momentum, positive trajectory, and we found support at that 38 level RSI, and we're moving towards that 50 line. So definitely a positive development there. Now with the URA ETF, the one that the unholy URA ETF that a lot of us don't like because it's not so reflective of the uranium sector. Nonetheless, it's the major player. And look at this downtrend that started in 2017. Obviously, the downtrend has been much longer than that, but ever since the massive move in late December of 2016, we've been in a pretty nasty downtrend. Every time we hit this momentum trend line, we broke down until about December of 2018. And we broke out, we back tested, broke out again, and then we broke down. And that was very frustrating for a lot of those that thought this was the beginning of the new bull market. And sure enough, we found support again at that 38 level. Now we broke back above it. Now we've got some room to go until we hit that 50 RSI, and there's going to be some resistance there. However, looking at this wedge, there's very little space here before we either have to break out or break down of this coiling formation. Now you got PPO moving in the positive direction. You'll notice that's a pattern in a lot of the charts that I'm going to be going through right now. So very positive. This breaks above zero. I think this also coincides with the fundamental development of the 232 report that's due by July, I think 14th is what I read on Twitter. So that's coming up very soon. I believe Donald Trump will be exploring that in his visit to Canada. So there are just a lot of reasons why I think that this is going to be a very auspicious time in the next couple of weeks and months for uranium. We shall see, of course. Now, here's my watch list. If there are some names I'm not covering here, and you think they ought to be, please add your comments in the YouTube video. But here's ALX Uranium. It's just been consolidating here, and it looks like it wants to get ready to go, but it's not really moving yet. So right now it's kind of dead money, frankly, until it hits 10 cents. But at some point I think it will hit that 10-cent mark, and from here that's a double, and then beyond that there's a lot of blue sky ahead. Anfield Energy, this one has been in and up. Basically, it had a very nice move in end of 2017 from a low of 3 cents to a high of basically 59 cents. And notice you had 3 consecutive highs here with consecutive lows in momentum. And when those weren't able to be held, we've had a pretty nasty downtrend. And in the midst of a bigger picture, this is not such a big deal. But if you bought here and you held on, you're probably in a world of pain. And we've been consolidating here for almost a year, and yet momentum has been building despite a lower price. And now we pulled back some again, but it looks like we're starting to build strength again here, and I think we're going to break back above this 20-cent zone, and we're going to sooner rather than later have a very big rush towards that 47.50 area. I think eventually we break higher. API Energy, this is one that's a uranium play as well as a rare earth. It's gotten some attention there, and the challenge that I have with rare earth is that so much of this is based upon the trade war, this quote-unquote trade war. That's going to get resolved, and so if the only reason that some of these names are going up is because of the supposed trade war, they're also going to drop for that same reason. As I said in a previous video, you got to be very careful when you're trading based on just momentum and day traders moving in and out, because you can get really badly hurt. But this one also has a very nice uranium play, and it's got a very nice chart here. Got this rounded bottom right there, and now it's kind of bullish flagging here in its cup and handle. If you don't already own it, this is an interesting time above this 30-cent zone to buy, with a stop loss right below the 50-week moving average around that 29-cent level. From a longer term perspective, you want to see this break above this 41-cent zone, and I think it will soon. Notice it broke up above the 50 RSI area, and now it's consolidating above that point. That's a very bullish development. I like the setup of this chart, even though there's a little bit of noise here and it hasn't done much in 2019. I think we're going to break out sooner rather than later. Azincourt Uranium, this is one that we've been we recently initiated a new position in, and we're trying to add as much as we possibly can. It's been in a downtrend here since, again, December of 2018 at a high of 37. And again, notice this is something that's just very, very important in my when I trade and when I invest, is I look for these divergences. You got a double top at 28 and 37 cents. Obviously, we've got a higher high in price, but momentum didn't move higher. So you have a negative divergence, so divergent high, and that's a sign. So if you bought anywhere here and it rode to 28 cents, we bounced back up all the way to 37 cents, and you notice that momentum is not making new highs, that's your sign that you probably want to limit or trim your position at a minimum over here, especially when you've got the shooting star candle here where you make a new high and it just wasn't able to be followed through. So obviously we got this pullback and you just got momentum lows kicking in, and here we are. We're back at 4.5 cents. Now we've got this downtrend since July of 18. We broke out above it. And now you've got some volume kicking in, and now we're struggling to break above that 50 RSI zone. But as soon as this breaks higher, and we've got some resistance at the 50 EMA at 7 cents, but as soon as this breaks higher, this can fly. As you saw here, it happened in late 2017, happened again in late 2018. Maybe it happens earlier, maybe we have to wait till 2018. But again, notice the explosive patterns that these particular names have. It's definitely something that you want to watch out for. And again, when do they happen? They occur when they break out above that 50 RSI zone. It happened here. We were kind of consolidating, and then we finally blasted higher. It happened here again, consolidating, blasted higher. Now we're below it. So if we blast higher, that's an area that you definitely want to keep an eye on. Blue Sky Uranium, this one's starting to look real good here. It's been in a downtrend since mid 2016. We broke out above that early 2019. We've been consolidating in this bullish wedge formation, and looks like we're getting ready to break out here. Notice the RSI is curling higher. That's very positive, and once it breaks, the next weekly time target is around that 3250 area, and I think eventually we'll hit that 75 zone again in this next leg of uranium euphoria, and it will come. It's just a question of when, not if. Here's Cameco. It's that $10 range has been a really good area of support, and now we've bounced off that 38 level of RSI. And while we've got a lot of noise here, this is a good long-term, just fundamental area to be adding the more conservative name in the sector. Now, Cameco is interesting because they have the ability to use cash flow right now to get a lot of optionality on a lot of these names that we're covering in the sector. So when the actual uranium price actually does spike, Cameco will be a direct beneficiary of a lot of these names that have been exploring really nice uranium locations. Here's Canalaska. This one's interesting. We broke down to this 20.5 cent level below support, but we found a bottom here. RSI bounced off an area that we bounced from before, around this 30 level, and now we're starting to build some momentum here. And I would not be surprised to see us back at that 45 cent level, and eventually breaking higher when uranium is indeed ready to go. Deep yellow, not looking so good right now, to be honest. It needs to break out above this downtrend, but until it does so, it's more of a contrarian play. If you have a reason to buy it, that's great, but from a technical standpoint, it's not showing much at this point. Denison here, it's a very nice triangular pennant pattern. It's going to either break out or break down soon, so keep an eye on this when it hits that apex. But notice PPO is curling and just squeezing tight, and I think it's going to pop as it's consolidating below the 50 RSI. I think it's going to pop to the upside sooner rather than later. Encore Energy, this has been another example of a negative divergence. Notice we had this very nice run from a low of 4.5 cents all the way to 21 cents. What happened here? We were breaking higher. We hit momentum highs right around here, around October of 2018. Ever since then, this whole consolidation and even breakout to 17 and then 21 cents, momentum had been waning, lower and lower momentum, and now we're at that we're at the bottom trend line here of support. It coincides around that 38 level of RSI, as well as the 50, as well as the 200-week moving averages. This is going to be solid support here, guys. I think it's not going to fall below 10 cents. Anything is possible, but I think the strong probability is that it won't. This is a great area to add or initiate positions long. I think this has got a great management team and likely headed much higher, and possibly even above $1 when, again, uranium euphoria really takes hold. Energy fuels. This one's really nice. I mentioned in previous videos that buying here at 250 was a great level. Sure enough, we're up about 20% from those levels, and now we're going back to test the upper rung of this bullish flag cup and handle pattern. I think we're going to break higher very, very soon. And once we break the 350 level and we break that 200-week moving average at 358, there's tremendous upside here. This is a double-digit stock when uranium breaks out. Notice we found support on this back test that's very bullish. We're above that 50 RSI level, and so I'm watching for this level to break higher to initiate a long. Look at PPO, it's so close to breaking out higher. Fission 3.0, one of our favorite stocks. We've been adding as much as we possibly can. This one, it's building a bottom here at the apex of this bullish wedge pattern. It's doing so with PPO curling. There's a lot of accumulation going on the daily chart, and if it breaks above that 10-cent zone, all it takes is one day of a massive buy, and that typically happens when PPO breaks above 0. Then it can really build some momentum. I can see 25 cents in an instant, and then thereafter 45 cents. There's obviously a lot of supply that needs to be taken out, but all it takes is one positive news release, and this thing can really fly. Fission uranium, this one not so hot right now. Don't see any upside until it breaks that 47-cent zone to the upside here. Forces Metals, I like the look of this one. This is a bullish wedge. It's squeezing, and I think it's going to break out to the upside. It's finding support at that 38 level here, where it's found support at times past, right over here. And so it's just consolidating here, and it's getting ready to move. Forum Energy, great looking chart pattern here. It broke out of the downtrend since 2017 with beautiful volume here, but again, a bit of a shooting star. Pulled back some, stopped some folks at below the 50-week moving average. That typically happens. Now we found some legs, and now it's consolidating below that 6-cent zone. Equally as important, it consolidated and back tested at that 50 RSI. It's found support, and it looks like it wants to break higher. If this breaks 6 cents, it's going to make the move again. I think this sees the teens very, very soon. Global Atomic. Now this one's interesting because it's it's got a great fundamental story. It's just been going up despite a sector that's been dropping. But here you've got some negative divergence, and that's not a good sign. You've got 45, 46, 52 in price, but momentum hasn't built new highs. And so I think a pullback to 38 cents to 40 cents, back testing this 50-week moving average, is definitely possible here, especially if PPO breaks below zero. GOVX Uranium, I like the look of this. This is a textbook cup and handle, and this looks like it's getting ready to break to the upside. It's not making new lows in momentum, and it's still firmly above that 38 zone of support. I think this is going to break higher very soon. Greenland Minerals and Energy, this is a beautiful looking chart. I think this is headed to the teens, right around that 1550 area in the not too distant future. It's consolidating above the 200-week moving average. This just has the making of a double very, very soon. ISO Energy, I like this right now. It pulled back after breaking down from this bearish wedge. It found support around the 40. It moved massively higher, and now it's pulled back some now, but it's finding support around the 50-week moving average, and it's setting up for a move back higher above 60, and I think much higher thereafter. Laramide Resources, another one that's kind of back tested this breakout, and eventually I think it moves higher, but for the time being it needs to break above and hold this 35 cent zone. Equally as important, it needs to break above the 50 and the 200-week moving average. For a longer term trade, it needs to move above the 52.50 area to make a run towards that 74 zone. Finally, a couple more names. NextGen Energy. This one, like Fission, is just not doing much of anything. It's got a great fundamental story behind it, but it's kind of been boring, and until it's consolidating here, so this is a great area to initiate or add position, because I think it's going to head back above $2 and then eventually above $3. Excuse me. And notice here it's building some momentum. It's basing here, and even though we've had new lows in price, momentum hasn't really made those lows. So that's a positive development. Again, I think this sees double digits in a renewed uranium market. Paladin Energy, this one's also very interesting. It's not doing much of anything, but it's created this wedge that I think eventually it's just going to pop one day from. It's building momentum here, and look at PPO, it's just curling, and I think it's just setting up for a very nice pop in the not too distant future. Plateau Energy Metals, this one's in the downtrend since middle of 2018, but look at this. We broke above PPO above zero. We broke above this downtrend, and this is setting up for a move towards 70. There's some nice resistance as we hit the 250-week moving averages, but above that, there's really not much more. So I like the look of this chart right now. Pure Point Uranium, this is one that we're also trying to acquire as much of because I just like the look of this consolidation pattern. I think eventually this is going to pop, certainly towards that 15-cent zone, and then much higher if there's a fundamental development behind this company. And they've got quite the management team and great location, so we'll see what happens there. A nice optionality play. Sky Harbor Resources, another one that's got a great fundamental story behind it, but again, it's been kind of in that Fission and next gen camp. But it's consolidating very nicely here at that 32.5 cent level below the 200-week moving average. It broke out from this downtrend, built this flag here. Now we're breaking back above that. I think we're going to make a move very soon towards that 55 area, and beyond that, there's significant upside when that happens. Texas Minerals. So if you watch my rare earth video from last time around, and then I had some follow-up charts on StockTwits and Twitter, I pointed out that this particular name obviously had a really nice run here, but once we couldn't make new highs, and once we hit that 56 level, we did so with negative divergence, and that was a very negative sign, kind of a shooting star, and now you create this pennant, and it broke down below it. When that happened, I said we're likely going to hit 30 cents, but in these penny stocks, very often when you break down with a lot of capitulation selling. So now we found support around the 200-week, coinciding also with the 50-week moving averages. I think this is a great area between 24 and 28 to be adding, because I think eventually this goes much higher, but in the meantime there's just some consolidation that needs to happen, and hopefully for the bulls this can hold that 50 RSI level. Couple more. UEX Corp. We've been acquiring as much as we can of this name as well. We love the fundamental story behind it. Broke up above this downtrend, bullish flag here, broke above that. Now we're back testing, and even though we broke below the 50 RSI, it's happened a couple times here. I think that if this backtest level successfully holds, I think we're going to see 40 cents at some point this year. Your Energy, beautiful long-term chart. Look at this rounded bottom, bullish flag, and now we broke back above that. And again, this is one of those plays that I think is going to see double digits in a renewed bull market. Uranium Energy, another one that's just been consolidating, noisy consolidation, but breakout over here happened, consolidating, and now it's likely going to break out here soon towards that 190 area, and eventually towards 3, and then again double digits potential in this name. It's above this. It's already above this downtrend since 2016, and we're just consolidating and back testing, likely moving higher soon. Finally, Western Uranium. This is a great looking chart. It's breaking out above this bullish flag here. It's above the 50 RSI, and notice positive divergence. What I mean, you've got lower highs at 140 versus 155 and 169, yet momentum here is higher than previous highs. So this is a very positive development. I think we're going to make a run for that $2 zone, which coincides with the 200-week moving average, and I think we're going to eventually hit back to the 340 level and perhaps much higher thereafter. But look at PPO now firmly above 0. This has the makings of a very good move in the near future. Guys, thanks again for watching, and again, Moneyology.com is going to be launching around July, hopefully, and we appreciate your support. If you want to be a part of the premium service that's going to have more of these videos more often, and we're just going to be offering a lot of great stuff. We're opening this up to about 100 subscribers. We've got about 49 folks already registered. So if you want to be a part of this, please send us a note at dave@moneyology.com and reserve your spot. There's no obligation, and give us a try. And most importantly, what you're going to be doing with your subscription is supporting a wonderful community. You're going to be helping me out, of course, but what I'm going to be reinvesting your premiums, if you will, back into the site, back into the content that I'm looking to provide you. I look forward to bringing on other subscribers that will be adding great content to the platform. So thanks again, and wishing you all the best.